Hey guys, welcome back to User Experience Points. I was lucky enough to get a code for the big alpha test for Evolve, so I thought I'd talk about it on the show and tell you what I think about how far along the UX is in this alpha build. This one is a bit short due to the delay on the PS4 version of the alpha and my own work schedule, so I only got one quick evening with it and played 2 matches. Assassin's Creed Unity may or may not also be waiting for me in the living room. Anyway, let's get to it. The onboarding process was pretty straightforward. After starting the game for the first time, you get a single button prompt to get things rolling and a EULA to not read before arriving at the title screen. The title screen is a bit odd, with a ton of screen real estate given to the admittedly cool monster, but thankfully your 3 choices are still quite visible. The odd design choice here is the carousel that cycles between the helpful tips and other messages. Carousels are a pretty common web design pattern, but I haven't really seen them used on game consoles that much, except for maybe the advertisements on the Xbox 360 interface. This carousel is not at all useful though, since unlike the carousels on the 360, there's no way to navigate it using the controller. That means if, say, you miss the support URL, you're out of luck until the carousel comes around again. It's also way too small. The next phase of onboarding starts when you choose Play, and it's great. The messaging is framed as a genuine request from the developer to rank your preferred roles in the game so that you'll most likely get your favorite whenever possible. Unfortunately, the roles are lacking any kind of description, so only those who have been following the game's development would have any idea what they actually are. I'm going to attribute that to the alpha build, but if the final game starts you off like this with little explanation, that's definitely a problem. Like many games these days, Evolve has the ability to link your game to an outside account, in this case a My2K account. The account service for 2K Games, which publishes Evolve. Linking to a My2K account is even easier than linking to a WB Play account in Shadow of Mordor, which I talked about last week. I didn't have a My2K account, so I decided to create one, and surprisingly all I had to do was enter my email address. Any further steps required are outside of the console experience. This is perfect because it's only as intrusive as it needs to be. That said, I didn't see any kind of incentive for doing this explained in the game itself. Perhaps in the final version, maybe this will get you some special unique content or something. For now, it's kind of a mystery. The options menu is perfectly functional, but it best shows a global flaw in the game's visual design with its menus. The selected state for menu items is white, which is incredibly jarring in the otherwise lovely black and red interface. Since the selected state is already shown using brackets, such a stark contrast is unnecessarily harsh on the eyes. Toning it down to a more calm gray would help a lot. I do have to point out that, like Legend of Korra, this options menu features lovely descriptions attached to menu items when needed. Adjusting the game's gamma settings has a pretty cool feature I haven't seen before. Along with the visual reference used to calibrate these settings, there's also a slideshow of screenshots that actually change lighting as you adjust the meter. That's awesome! Okay, you're probably tired of seeing menus, so here's some gameplay so I can talk about the tutorial messages used to teach you how to play the game. These messages do an admirable job of explaining the game's mechanics, which is great since the alpha pretty much drops you right in with little explanation beyond the game's objectives seen while trying to find a match. They strike a nice balance between interrupting gameplay and making sure you see them. They don't pause the game, but their subtle animation catches your eye so you instinctively read them. Although I would say I didn't get all of the information I needed, it certainly gave me enough information to at least try to competently fill my role before getting murdered by the monster every time. I didn't mind though, the kind of Lovecraftian looking one in the first match I played was really cool. After a match, you're brought to a screen where you're given a limited amount of time to view your personal performance. This screen is quite nice with 3 clear options to explore, including the character mastery, which revealed to me that the dog-like creature I kept shooting at was my pet. Oops. The only problem here is the nearly impossible to see timer up in the top right. Considering that the timer determines how long you get to be on the screen, it would make sense to me to have it in a more noticeable place. Once the timer runs out, you're taken to another screen with a timer that shows a recap of the previous match and lets you chat with the other players. I personally don't see a reason to separate this lobby and the progression screen before it. Players should be able to toggle between the two rather than being given a limited amount of time with each. I wouldn't call it a bad user experience, but definitely a clunky one. And that's it for this week, guys. Thanks again for watching. There's a ton of stuff coming out in the next couple months, so I'm not sure when I'll get to, if ever, revisit Evolve, but I think that overall it was a pretty decent user experience considering the alpha build. You guys may have noticed that I've changed my manner of speaking a little bit since the past couple episodes because I'm trying to be a little bit less scripted and sound more natural. I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. Does this sound better? Should I be sticking more with words that keep me from being all like all the time? So let me know. See you next week.